Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to the Education Services Discussion Room. We are joined today by Myles Ferich. Welcome, Myles. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Amy. Glad to be here.
We have a few questions for you today, so thanks for taking the time. And also, I wanted to mention that I'm really especially happy to be interviewing with you today because you were my trainer, one of my trainers in the system admin training, and I passed. And so I'm really grateful to you, and the training was fantastic, and so thank you. You were wonderful. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how long you've been with Education Services and about your current role. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And Amy, I never forget a student, and you did a phenomenal job. So all the credit for passing definitely goes to you. So, of course, I've been with the company since March 2014. So I'm quickly approaching my 10-month mark, which is great. As you said, I am a technical trainer. I'm based in San Diego. So really, I'm responsible for doing a lot of things. First and foremost, learning the ServiceNow platform. That really is an important task in order to succeed as a technical trainer. Once I have that knowledge, I can then share it with other students. So as you said, you were a student in my class, so I do teach to internal users, so employees of ServiceNow, as well as customers. And I do that through different methods, such as virtually, as well as on-site. So actually traveling and going to a location where these customers are and providing that training. Currently, I teach sysadmin, as you mentioned, advanced admin, and I'm also preparing to teach scripting this year, which I'm really excited about. Also, I'm responsible for just working with the team, completing projects, helping with content review when necessary, as well as mentoring other users and other employees in our group.
Oh, great. Well, great. I didn't realize you were going to be starting on scripting, so good luck with that. That sounds exciting.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about some of the aspects of your role as a trainer that may have been unexpected or challenging, and some solutions that you found to work that allows you to be successful in your role as a trainer?
Sure. So I actually did some homework. I viewed some other interviews within previous newsletters, and it seems as though this is not an uncommon challenge that us technical trainers face, but traveling and changing time zones quite often. I must admit I also am aware and face that challenge quite often, especially as we travel a lot, going from different locations week to week. It does take a toll on you, I'll be honest. And I think the best way to battle it is just lots of coffee, as well as some preparation. So as long as I'm prepared to deliver the training, I can really just focus on that delivery of the content and make sure that I'm doing that in the best way possible. Another challenge, although a favorite challenge of mine, is just the amount of clients that we have needing training. So of course I knew coming into this position it would be quite busy. I wasn't totally aware of how many clients that we had as well as we're gaining. So again, that was a pleasant surprise, but also one of my favorite challenges as I get to endure this challenge throughout my career. And really, I think just staying prepared, as I mentioned, lots of that coffee again, and staying organized helps kind of deal with that challenge.
So when you're actually in the training room, whether you're on site or you're virtual, what are some of the techniques that you found to work that sort of makes for an overall successful training when you're conducting your trainings?
So there are a number of different techniques that I try to keep in mind and practice during training. I think that's an excellent question and very important for us trainers. I'm by no means a master of this trade yet, so I think the first technique I would suggest is just to continue to learn about training and also what it means to provide excellent training as well as be an excellent trainer. So I'm always trying to look out online for any articles or any resources that kind of share that knowledge and try to read it and ingest it as much as possible. I also mentioned just being prepared to deliver the content. Another great technique, as long as you learn that material and continue to learn it, you should be able to share that relevant information, as well as have some rich discussions with your class. Always important for keeping that participation level up. Make sure it's a fun experience for the students, but also for yourself. It also allows you to gain some sort of respect from the audience. As long as you look and you do know your material, then there should be no problem in having that great engagement and, again, respect between the two parties. Other than that, I mean, communicating with this team, I think this is an excellent team because everyone's very helpful. Everyone's a subject matter expert in one area or another. So I know personally if I've had some issues, I just reached out to some of our colleagues on the team, which has been wonderful because then they provide me with the information, they help me better understand the material, and then ultimately I can take that and, again, share that with our customers.
There's definitely a depth of knowledge on our team that's a good resource to reach out for. And I can say, speaking from experience, since I've had you as a trainer, you're very good at keeping the participants engaged. So that was really wonderful, especially for a 3-day-long training on material that's not just, you're not talking about roller coasters here, we're talking about sysadmin. So it was very, very great to have you as a trainer. So I guess on the heels of that question is, how do you assess whether a training is going well or if adjustments need to be made for the participants?
Another good question. So it varies. As I mentioned, I do deliver the training virtually and also on-site. So of course it's easier to feel out how things are going on-site just because the audience's attitude, their level of participation, body behavior, and things of that sort, what I can actually see and kind of consume. It's a little more difficult virtually. But I did borrow a technique from Sandy, one of our first, well, actually the first trainer in our team. And I'm not sure, I'm assuming he's the one that kind of created this technique. But in our virtual setting, the second day, I usually ask everyone how things are going. So I ask, how's the pace of the class? How do you best learn? So what style of learning works best for you? Does that include me demoing some of the content? Do you just enjoy watching it? Do you like to get yourself involved with the labs? I think that really helps to get a gauge as to how things are going, especially during the second day in sysadmin where you've kind of reached that middle point. So again, that's an excellent technique that I continue to carry over. I also do incorporate that onto on-site training as well. Just helps me understand how things are going and what I need to do to adjust.
I really appreciate, as a participant, I really appreciated that because I got a chance to give the feedback of whether I felt that just going through the PowerPoints or being a little bit adjusting the time so that we were a little heavier on the actual demonstrations was really helpful, or giving a little bit more time for the labs for us to kind of work through that ourselves. So I found that feedback, to be able to provide that feedback, to be helpful for me as a learner.
Great.
And sort of switching gears a little bit, can you speak about your experience with ServiceNow and especially education services, and tell us a bit about how you feel the culture of education services fosters sort of an environment of success? And I've got my cat jumping on my lap, so obviously we're not in a studio.
Yeah, no, luckily my dog Clark hasn't barked yet, so yeah, so with that question, I mean, first and foremost, I believe it starts with the leadership of this team, really pushing for the best and always really offering a direct hand in someone's growth, which I have a first-hand experience with it. I'll give a shout-out to my manager, Fayez, who has always encouraged me to develop both professionally and personally, which I truly appreciate. Thank you, Fayez. But as I mentioned before as well, we have a very strong team. So this team is, I've heard it referred to as a family, and I really believe that. We're an international organization, but with our team, it really feels that we're all very close and available at all times, which is definitely nice. And again, as it relates to success and growth, that's very important. Everyone's willing to really lend a hand. As I mentioned before, they want to make sure everyone on the team's succeeding, and they're very supportive of everyone and what they're trying to accomplish. No one's really looking out for just themselves. They make sure, everyone on this team, that the appropriate person is getting the full credit for their work. And that's something I really appreciate. I've never really had this level of team membership before in previous positions, so that whole team mentality and its collective success is something I'm glad to be a part of. And I'm looking forward to the new year here and moving forward with this team.
Me too, and I couldn't agree more. It's great response, great. I feel that as well. So thank you so much, Myles. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it, and you're a great trainer. So I'm glad to interview you.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Okay, have a great afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.